Hello Tom. So this video is a guide to help you understand what conversions I make to points and why I do them. So first of all, here's a brand new set of points that I've just got out of a packet. It's still got everything fitted, so the first thing I do is obviously remove the spring, because you don't need that for the sort of point motors you're going to use. To remove the spring, turn the points upside down and you'll notice the spring located just here. Just get a pair of pliers and carefully pull it out. Don't need to take this cap off. That's what I used to do in the past. I used to take this off, but it's difficult to get it back in. So just literally thin pair of pliers, pull it out this end first and then this end. The next thing you need to do is to remove these two little wires here. Again, a pair of pliers will remove those. They've got little tiny spot welds here, here and here, and they come off quite easily. The next thing you need to do is this frog wire is fitted by Peco, and the idea is that you just attach a wire to it and there's your frog already wired up. However, these little wires are very unreliable. I've had 2 or 3 of them fail on me when they're already ballasted in and everything, and it's a real nuisance. So I recommend that you undertake the little modification that I'm just going to tell you about now. So this wire, you'll see here, goes down and it's fitted here. There's two points there, one under a rail there, one under a rail there. It then goes down this slot and it connects to a rail there and a rail there. So there's 4 spot weld points that they're fitted on. Those spot weld points are what fail. They actually come off eventually. So get a pair of pliers, pull this wire off. So pull it off that point, that point, that point, and that point. So then that's disconnected it. What I do then is I take a Dremel, and if you see here, there is a center piece of plastic. I Dremel that out. I just literally grind it away, leaving this line here and this line here intact. Okay, so you literally take that bit out. Don't grind all the way to the rails. If you grind all the way to the rails, you'll be able to see it when you look from the top. So that's a new one. What I'll do is I will now show you the one that I've done previously. So here you can see this is the groove created by grinding that out. But as you see there, I think you can see that I haven't ground right through to the rail. I just leveled that to make a slot. What you do now is you get a piece of dropper wire and you strip out this piece here and strip the end off, and then you solder across these 2 rails here. You can't see underneath it, but this soldered bridges over 2 rails, or underneath 2 rails, then runs along here, and then it bridges again across 2 rails here, and then it continues away, and there's your green frog wire. What you've done here is you've replaced the original thin wire with this nice beefed up dropper wire version, and it's reliable. That is very reliable. That's not going to fail, which is not what you want to happen. So that's the first dropper wire that I solder into place. The next thing to do is at this point here, if you pardon the pun, which is actually on the new point, you can see it here. They're already prepared for you. So you've got those rails there that you can see the underside of. Just get a Dremel or a file or something and scratch these up underneath here, because they're really smooth as they are at the moment. So it'll help you when you come to solder. So obviously don't forget you must take these links off. So what you do now is you get a red and a black, and you need to make sure that you get these the right way round. So just put your point on the layout where it's intended to be, so you know which way's the red and which way's the black. If you get them the wrong way round, obviously, well, that'd be the wrong way round, and that's not good. So what I do then is I get the piece of dropper wire, I strip off the end, I then twist it and I tin it. I then tin the rails underneath. I use a flux by DCC Concepts. It's highly recommended. It's really, really good. It's this flux here. It's a sapphire no clean flux. Basically, you need a brush. It's a clear liquid. You need a brush like that. You just brush a little bit onto your rail before you do any soldering. You don't have to clean it off after, which is the beauty of it. But when you solder to it, it is absolutely fantastic. So, with that in mind, I then solder each of those wires on there so that they bridge the two rails in the way that you can see, so that the wires come into the centre. That means you've only got to drill one hole in the centre of the track for the two dropper wires to come through. And finally, the last thing I do is this modification here. The reason why I do this is because these rails here, which are the ones that move, okay, the way they get power is in two ways. One is this connection here, but you can see, if I go down there, you can probably see those connection points there. They're not soldered because they have to move, and they are tiny. There's one each side, and that's where the electrical continuity comes through. And the other point at which electrical continuity comes through is where the blade there, the back of the blade touches this side of the rail. That's all the points of contact, and they are not good. They are completely unreliable in service because rails get dirty, and what happens in a while, particularly once they're ballasted, is you get dirt forms underneath those contacts, and you get dirt forms on the side of the stock rail and on the side of the moving rail there, and you'll be no ends of problems, because when that happens, these sections of rail here, this one and this one, become basically isolated, and you'll have trains stopping on them. So this modification that I do now, you won't find anywhere else. It's a modification that I've decided to do myself, totally out of experience, but I really do recommend you do it. So what I do, here's the new set of points, and here's the one that's been done. The one that's been done is curved, and the new set is straight, but it doesn't matter, they are the same. What you'll notice is at this point here, I don't know how well you can see it, I pointed out the two plastic webs there on each side, one there, one there, one there, one there. Break those off and you'll end up with similar to that, and so you can get to the rails underneath. And what you have to do is get a short piece of wire, that's what, probably 1.5 inches long, each piece of that wire, and then bent into a U shape, and then one end you solder to the outer rail, that's the stock rail, underneath the stock rail there, and the other end you solder into the groove on that moving piece. I don't know if you can see there's the moving piece. If I hold it like that, you can just about see that the moving piece is actually a hollow rail, and you'll see that there's actually a groove in it. So if you put a little bit of flux in that hole, put a tinned wire into it, and what I do is I tin into there as well, and then you can solder the wire into that slot, and then the other end of it is looped and goes to the rail on the outside. So you can see that. Do that on both sides. In whatever colour wire you want, really, but I do it in black just because it's obviously not so intrusive. And then that's it. I think that's all of the modification to the point that you need to do. You will then need to drill holes in the right places. Now what I've done is I've created a cardboard template, and for these wires I use a 4mm drill. Sorry, that one I use a 3mm drill, and the double one here I use a 4mm drill. And for these I drill an 8mm hole underneath each one of those, because that moves. You don't want to make that too tight, otherwise your point won't operate properly. So do an 8mm hole under each one of those loops, and then slot the loops into them basically. So if you just create a cardboard template of a point, if you turn it over one way it'll be left hand, if you turn it over the other way it'll be right hand, because they're the same dimensions, and that will help you drill the holes in the right place. So that's basically it for the modifications of the point. So there we are. New point, rubbish frog wire, converted point, heavy duty frog wire, good feeds to the track. That's it.